animals that have been killed on the roads, but they'll also eat lizards, frogs, small mammals, birds, or eggs, pretty much anything they can find. Well, especially the Parenti, where it lives in the Australian desert, because it's very harder to live out there, and there's no water at all, so well, there's barely any water, so how the Parenti quenches his thirst is by eating lizards, like bearded dragons and blue-tongued skinks. And of course, I've seen monitor lizards up close in captivity, and they are probably my favourite of all lizards. Here is their range in Australia. Now, the next reptile I'm going to show you is the fifth most venomous snake. It is the tiger snake. Now, the tiger snake gets its name from the patterning down its back. The yellow and black stripes look like a tiger. And this is in the cobra family, the elapids, and as you can see, it can spread its ribs into a hood, but this has a venom far more toxic than any of the cobras, far more toxic than a king cobra, than a black mamba, and of course that's all mainly down to what the tiger snake mainly preys on, and that's frogs and toads. And of course, if you're a snake and these super fast amphibians are on the menu, you want to be able to kill them quickly so they can't hop away and leave you hungry. That's why the tiger snake's venom works so well. Just one bite and it's all over. In fact, it's one thing to stop a frog dead in its tracks, but there's enough of venom in a bite from a tiger snake to kill a handful of humans. In fact, try and imagine if you've been unlucky enough to step on a tiger snake accidentally and it bites you. The bite itself wouldn't feel that bad, but inside your body it's a completely different story, because toxins from the venom will dissolve and eat your muscles, your nerves will start firing off, you feel a tingling in your hands and feet, you can't keep your eyes open, and you feel your throat starting to close. Meanwhile, the venom is attacking your nervous system, the blood in your veins is thickening into sticky clumps, and the muscles around your heart and lungs seize up and you stop breathing. And if you don't get help in the form of anti-venom, that could all be over within an hour. But the only time tiger snakes are ever bite people is if you're unlucky enough to accidentally tread close to or onto one. And a lot of the time, all they really want to do is escape from danger. In fact, their instinct first is to just skitter off into the bushes. And of course, like many snakes today, they are used in the anti-venom practice. And of course, around here is their range. As you can see, they prefer to stay in South Australia because there's a lot more boggy marshland for them to find their favourite food, frogs and toads. Now, I'm going to be moving on to North and South America. And the first reptile I'm going to show you is another one of the most beautiful lizards in the world. It is the Gila Monster. Now, the Gila Monster is a very peculiar looking creature. I mean, it's short, it's squat, it's a little bit slow, and its head just looks like a dinosaur. And of course, this thick tail is full of fat, and that can quite often help them when they're hibernating in the winter. Of course, the Gila Monster is found in the southern states of North America and in Mexico. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, this is one of the very few lizards in the world that is truly venomous. And it has, unlike rattlesnakes, the Gila Monster's venom affects the nervous system and stops its prey from breathing. Now, Fortunately, it isn't fatal to humans, but it is, however, extremely painful. Because, I mean, Gila Monsters are said to have a bite, almost like a pit bull terrier, which means once they've got a hold of you, they don't let go. But what they're actually doing when they bite you is allowing their saliva with their venom to drip onto their teeth and actually get chewed into the wound. I mean, of course, if I was to get bitten by a Gila Monster, it wouldn't kill me, but all it would do is make sure that for the next few days I'd be laid up in hospital with nothing in my world apart from pain. And of course, Gila Monsters, they feed on small birds, mammals and lizards, but their favourite food of all are bird and reptile eggs, as you can see right here. Of course, they use their incredible forked tongue to sniff out their prey, and it's actually said a Gila Monster can follow the trail of an egg rolled across the sand. Well, they are very, very odd-looking animals. They are one of the very few lizards in the world with a truly venomous bite, and that, for me, is one reason why I love these lizards so much. And of course, here is their range. Now, the next reptile I'm going to show you is the largest of its kind, and also my favourite of that kind, the Green Anaconda. Now, the Green Anaconda is the largest snake in the world. When I say the largest, I mean a fully grown female can grow to be 9 metres long and weigh 550 pounds or so. That's as long as a bus and heavier than me. And of course, looking at the skull of an anaconda, as you can see, they've got very, very long, sharp, pointed teeth. I mean, there's one row on the lower jaw, but a double row on the upper jaw. And they all point backwards towards the throat. And so once this animal's got a hold of prey, there's simply no way it's letting go. And of course, these snakes don't kill using venom. What they do is they lunge forward, grab a hold of prey, then wrap coils of the body around the animal, and then squeeze and squeeze until their prey either suffocates or potentially the anaconda bursts its internal organs. And then it will swallow its prey in one mouthful, because snakes are unable to chew their food, and so what it will do is it will almost dislocate the entire jaw and just walk it across its prey. And of course, it can actually swallow animals bigger than its own head. And as you can see, even though this isn't a venomous snake, a bite from one would still be extremely painful. And of course, Green Anacondas have many ways of defending themselves. I mean, the first one is like giving mock strikes, it's to try and drive you away. Another one is like giving a deep, deep hiss. And of course, the other one, a rather unpleasant way, is because I've actually helped a friend of mine handle an anaconda before, and of course, the anaconda's best way of defending itself is to release a whole bunch of unpleasant white paste out of its rear end, which smells absolutely horrendous. I mean, we both got that stuff all over our shirts, and we just had to throw away our shirts because there was no way we were getting rid of the smell. And I'm just going to be honest with you, it was absolutely foul. And I'm telling you, it made my eyes burn. And quite often, another thing about anacondas, like the green anaconda, is quite often if you find a whole group of small ones together, they're usually males, and that's actually called a breeding ball. It's when males will all follow the scent of a female and they'll gather around her to decide who gets the right to mate with her. And of course, it's basically fighting to see who is the strongest and gets the right to breed with her. Another thing about the green anaconda is that anacondas, unlike many snakes that that lay eggs, the green anaconda and other anacondas in this group will actually give birth to live young, which is very, very unusual for reptiles. Of course, the green anaconda is probably the most legendary snake in the world. And one of the few examples for that are that J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, was probably inspired the basilisk, the serpent of Salazar Slytherin, on the green anaconda, although the anaconda isn't poisonous and can't kill someone by looking you right in the eye. Another one is that there's actually a tribe in the jungles of Ecuador or Colombia where they actually have a very unique relationship with the anaconda because they believe the anaconda is their reincarnated ancestors. And they have, of course, they don't harm the anaconda and they even handle them as a way to initiate yourself into the tribe. And of course, the anaconda, it mostly feeds on lizards, frogs, young crocodiles, but it will also tackle large water birds, baby to adult capybara, and even deer. And of course, they are incredible swimmers. They can hold their breath for well over an hour, and they move through the water with an almost serpentine motion. And all of those wonderful colours give them a perfect camouflage down in the river, down in the water from their prey and potential predators as well. So as you can see here, you can handle green anacondas, but of course the best way to handle them in the wild is you always have to get right behind the head, because if you have control of the head, you've got control of the snake, and it takes a firm grip to restrain an anaconda, but as you can see, these animals are tough enough to constrict crocodiles to death. So that won't hurt the snake even a little, but you kind of get wound into a serpent straitjacket. Now, these snakes are of no danger to us as human beings, but if you were a capybara or a deer or any other large mammal that inhabited where they live, this would be your living nightmare. This is their range in South America. You can see around here in Colombia and around here is where they have a unique relationship with the anaconda. Now, for South America's largest reptile, the Black Caiman. Now, Black Caiman are in the alligator family, and you can tell they're an alligator because looking at the snout, because alligators, unlike crocodiles, they have shorter, broader, and more rounded and flattened snouts. And a fully grown male Black Caiman can grow to be well over 4 meters long, weigh 1/4 of a ton, and has 60 to 70 curved cone-shaped teeth. Of course, Black Caiman are primarily fish feeders, but they will occasionally but they don't just take fish, they will also eat crustaceans, lizards, frogs, birds, large mammals, and every once in a while they have been known to be man-eaters, so it's not unheard of for Black Caiman to go for people. But that usually happens when these crocs are hanging around villages, waiting to pick up scraps from fishermen. Another thing that I've always liked about crocodilians is because crocodilians tend to do much of their hunting at night, and of course, like all nocturnal animals, crocodiles have a reflective layer of cells at the back of their eyes that enhance their night vision. But it also means their eyes glow in torchlight. So, as you can see here, crocodilian eye shine is bright ruby red. It's almost like someone's got a fiery coal. And of course, that's always a dead giveaway when you're looking for crocodiles at night.